Hey, good morning, everybody. Taylor McMullen here with the McMullen Homes team, coming at you with episode 6 of the McMullen Home Stats, news, tips, all that fun real estate stuff. So today what I wanted to talk about was continue my discussion on housing affordability, as it seems to be a major topic these days, especially in British Columbia and other parts of the West Coast. So being a part of the millennial generation and of course the younger generations coming up to us, this is something we're all faced with, is housing affordability and tackling that challenge. And so part of my passion and part of what interests me is just because I'm personally involved in real estate, in both the real estate sales profession, but also being a homeowner and an investor myself. I'm thinking creatively, how can I take the concept of homeownership and break it down and make it easier for myself or for my friends or family and clients? How can I make that concept easier for them? So one area, one piece of real estate that I think is underlooked, but definitely worth considering as an alternative to owning a home or a condo or a townhome, is the duplex unit. And why I like them is just they're extremely flexible. It kind of gives you the single family dwelling, the house feel. It's sort of like it's like a hybrid between a house and a townhome is how I would look at it. So a duplex unit is literally just one half of a duplex, or a townhome with one neighbor. Same thing if you had a triplex, it would be a townhome with two neighbors. So what I like about them is they often have larger layouts. So they're very similar to a single family dwelling. They have, I've seen them anywhere from as small as 800 square feet all the way up to 2,500 square feet. It just depends. I mean, they also come in a variety of different price ranges, but your average duplex, is going to be somewhere between, I'd say 1,200 and 2,000 square feet. So 2,000 square feet being your typical bi-level 1970s box in your neighborhoods there. So what I like about them is they got large lots as well. They've also got, a lot of them have suite potential or existing suites, so they make it great for investors. They make it great for first-time home buyers who need that income support, and of course great for small families. And another nice feature about them is their cost. They are quite a bit cheaper than a single family dwelling. So you get arguably the same amount of flexibility with a duplex unit as you would a single family dwelling. You don't have the huge burden of a complex strata. Yes, you do have strata sometimes in these duplex units, but it's nowhere near as complex as, say, having a 10 to 20 unit townhome complex or a 55 unit condo complex. It's just you and the other person. So, they do make very attractive rental properties as a result. Because of their low cost and barrier to entry, it's easier to obtain a cash flow positive on these types of dwellings, the duplex units. But that is still very far-fetched right now. Trying to obtain a cash flow investment in BC is very challenging. So this is more catered towards the experienced investor, or the young investor, first-time home buyer who's looking to just get into the game without breaking the bank. And so that's why I feel these are really good options. And yeah, of course, they as I said, they do typically run with a strata format, but it's not as complex, as I said, as your typical townhome or condo. So a bit more flexibility there. It makes it feel more like a home, a single family dwelling, as opposed to being involved in a strata. So some of the additional long-term benefits of owning a duplex unit, they're appreciating at the same pace as the rest of the market, making them a solid investment. Great resaleability, as they are a great solution to affordability and typically within reach of the average buyer. Because of the just a quick thought, just because of the new, recent mortgage changes and this speculation tax and the foreign tax sort of threats of those, has really it's really all of this was done to assist with affordability. But it's funny because everything above 750, I find here, is actually being affected by it. They're the ones where it's really slowed down for, and I've noticed multiple offers are starting to really pick up, and it's forcing buyers to look at the condos, townhomes, cheaper houses, the duplex units. Those are where the investments are. Those are where the better, more affordable purchases are in the area. So sort of not really getting where they're coming from here on that stuff. So I guess we'll see if it actually has the impact it's supposed to have, but it doesn't really seem that way given that the, really the problem is we just have lack of supply. That's really it. So, the duplex unit's interesting because it's literally just takes a, sort of 12 to 13,000 square foot lot. You build, a little bit larger of a structure than you would a single family dwelling. And it's just sort of a house split in half. So, maybe they should start allowing for single family dwellings to have the option to, be converted into a duplex, or take a smaller lot size and allow for a duplex to be purchased on a single family dwelling lot. That would be an interesting solution to the housing crisis rather than, some of these other weird things they're doing. So, and then the other cool thing I thought about for myself personally is, with the duplex unit, you can rent out the bottom, have that suite potential. You could live in the suite, rent out the upstairs. You're looking at, somewhere between $1,000 and $1,200 for a 1-bedroom suite downstairs. And if you were to rent out, in the example here of the duplex unit I'm going to use later on in the presentation, it has 3 bedrooms. So if you were to rent out that 3-bedroom upstairs, you're looking at, somewhere between, 14 being worst case scenario and 2,000 per month for renting that part. And then the downstairs you could live in. So, because I will mention, because they are strata, because they do typically fall under strata, you're gonna want to make sure that your neighbor is on board with you renting, because as I said in previous episodes, 99% of suites are illegal. Typically, they don't have an issue with it if you are living in the property and renting out one of the units, or you're renting out the full house. But if you start getting too many tenants inside of one dwelling, that's when you're really, really walking on thin ice there. They're typically looking the other way right now because of the housing issue, but I'm not going to advise people do it that way, especially being an agent. So, large volume of these things are located in the Esquimalt, Langford. So that's where I typically find the duplex units. I've helped lots of friends and clients into these duplex units as their sort of their first home purchase. I noticed lots of them both in Esquimalt and Langford. So Langford's a really up and coming place. So I would definitely consider looking at purchasing out that way, as your first investment property. May not be the most convenient, but it's up and coming. And I think it's going to be a big place to be in a couple more years here. And then Esquimalt, of course, the benefit, being closer to the downtown core in Victoria. So I've noticed a lot of them out that way as well. So some concerns I have with the duplex unit. So yeah, there's definitely some cons, but so having a relaxed strata can lead to complacent owners. Owners of a duplex unit have a common responsibility to ensure that the full structure of the duplex is taken care of. They must come together and decide on mutual capital expenditures. So roof, common driveway, septic systems. You typically find those in rural areas. A Colwood, for whatever reason, still on septic for the most part. And if this is not achieved, it can have an effect on resellability and overall use of the structure. If you have a neighbor who does not like that you're renting out the suite, as I said, it's technically illegal. So to have your suite rented out, on paper it is. If you had a bozo neighbor who is complaining all the time, that could be a bit of a headache. And I guess the bigger one that I would be more concerned with is if you, as a homeowner, were taking care of your side of the duplex and they weren't taking care of their side. So you definitely want to have a good relationship with your neighbors so that you guys can come together and tackle these capital expenditures together. And logically, it's going to actually reduce the cost of those capital expenditures. Having a tough time with capital today. I don't know why. If you have to get the roof done separately, it makes more sense to get it done together. That's going to save you some money as well. So, and of course, I already mentioned suites are illegal in 99% of dwellings. So, that's 99% is just I just made up that statistic, but it's a way of just saying most are illegal. So, make sure you do your due diligence before getting into these so that it doesn't cause you issues in the future. So what I did is I broke it down. I like to break it down into the mathematics, just simple math. I mean, you could do this if you were in grade 3. So what I did here is I took a duplex unit. I'm going to, in the comments below, post a PDF of the each unit I used. So I'm going to do a condo or a duplex unit, a condo, and a townhome to sort of break it down and show you kind of the benefits to what a duplex unit can bring you as opposed to, a condo and a townhome in the same location. So in this particular example, this one recently sold for $462,000. It was quite large at 1,852 square feet. This one had a sweet potential. It had its own walk-in entrance, so could easily be converted into a one-bedroom suite. 10% down payment, $46,000 on a 5-year fixed term with a 25-year amortization period. Your monthly mortgage, and the interest rate on this, I didn't put that down on this one, was 3.15%. So, and your monthly mortgage payment will come out to around $2,000 there. So with that one bedroom suite, we're looking at achieving anywhere between $1,000 and $1,400 in rent per month. I would always play it off the worst case scenario when you're doing your numbers. So we'll do the math as if you're going to get $1,000 for this. You probably could get a bit higher, but just play it safe. Always approach it from the worst case scenario, I think. And then, of course, your expenses. Sometimes they have a strata. Sometimes they have they'll have a strata in place, but it's informal. So, you don't typically have your utilities and all that stuff, insurance included. So it's, generally separate or an agreed upon insurance. So expenses would be insurance, property taxes, utilities, and capital expenditures. Geez, that word. So rather than trying to break it down, what's it going to cost, insurance, property taxes, utilities, expenditures, and all that, just there's a rule in the investing realm. They typically just take, it's called the 50% rule. Just take 50% of the rental income for monthly property expenses. It's not perfect, but it's way easier to do it this way rather than trying to get all the details. It can help you quickly analyze a place. And again, we're also playing off worst case scenario here. So chances are numbers will end up being a little bit negative if you plan on making this a full-time investment without living in the property. But if it's an investment, then it doesn't really matter because you're going to be, the income support there is just meant to support the monthly cost. You're going to be paying some out of pocket anyways. So your mortgage payment, $2,000 plus $500 in expenses. So we're looking at $2,500 total per month. So you say $2,500 minus $1,000. We're looking at $1,500 per month. So if you think about your average 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom in Langford or Gordon Head or Saanich or Victoria, any of those locations, that's typically what you're paying for a 1-bedroom with a den or a 2-bedroom anyways, suite, not really even an upstairs. So rather than paying someone else $1,400 or $1,500 a month, your total cost is going to come up to about $1,500, and then your mortgage is getting paid down as well at the same time. So you've now got your money inside paying down a mortgage. So it's you can look at that mortgage as sort of a forced savings. So every month you pay that down, and that goes your equity starts to increase and your expenses start to go down. So let's look at it now from a condo. So condo in a similar location in Langford. This was a newer condo. So that duplex unit, they're usually a little bit older. So that was a 1970s duplex unit. And this is a condo. So we're looking at $416,000 for a newer condo. Not brand new. I think it was 2008. I'll double check that later. Not as large. So 1,132 square feet. Obviously no suite. Your down payment's very similar, $41,600, 5-year fixed, same interest rate, 25-year amortization. So your monthly payment is going to be $1,800. That's what your mortgage will come out. I've calculated it using a calculator on Mortgage Architects there. So your income potential, 1-bedroom. If you wanted to share your spot, you do. This is a 2-bedroom unit, so if you wanted to rent out the other bedroom, you could. Of course, you're sharing your space at this point, whereas the duplex unit, you had your own private suite. So income potential, 1-bedroom, $500 to $650. I'll use the worst case scenario. Expenses, your strata fees, $303. that's what it said indicated on the MLS sheet there. But the strata fees don't necessarily encompass all of your expenses. It will typically handle building insurance. This one I think had water, garbage pickup management, and a couple of other ones. So you'll still potentially have heating to pay for. So that's why down below you'll see that I listed the expenses as $350. I just upped it a little bit just in case you had some extra things you had to cover, because the strata didn't fully cover this whole thing. So $1,800 mortgage, $350 expenses, $2,150 per month, $2,150 minus $500 if you got the bedroom rented out. You're looking at $1,650 as your total cost with that income support. But not a lot of people enjoy sharing their space. That's what makes the suite nice and comfortable, is that you're sort of detached and you don't have to, live with a stranger. Or if you're living by yourself, then, I don't really see that being an issue, but it can sometimes be invasive. If you've gone through college and you had the whole roommate thing, I'm sure you were okay with it then, but as you get older, you definitely want your privacy. So the suite can be can be pretty sweet. And the townhome, so this one was an older one, so it's a bit more affordable price point for a townhome. There's a lot of newer ones. For whatever reason, I couldn't find any of the older condos. But anyways, for the townhome, again, $395,000, larger layout at 1,535 square feet. No suite, obviously. Down payment, $39,500. Same term, interest rate, and amortization period. Your payment, $1,707. Again, the nice thing about a townhome, though, is you'll usually find 3 bedrooms in these. So you do have the option to house hack and rent out to 2 students or something like that. I would be more confident renting out to students over in, of course, Saanich. But Langford is booming, and there's lots of workers there. So I'm sure you could fill up a bedroom or 2 if you decided to fully house hack the townhome. So you could arguably have 2 bedrooms rented out for $1,000, or just the one at $500, like the condo. Strata fee here, $320. Again, it didn't fully encompass every single expense you're probably going to pay every month, so I bumped it up to $350. So $1,707 plus $350 to $2,057 per month. $2,150 minus $500, $1,650. So the townhome and condo came out to around the same price without the suite. So unless you're renting out the bedrooms. So the condo really is actually the more unaffordable option. It's really not as good, in this example, as say the townhome and the duplex unit. I would say duplex unit is better investment in this example than the townhome than the condo. The townhome and condo, of course, you're also strapped by a large strata council, so you don't really have as much flexibility as you would with a duplex unit. It's more like, as I said, it's more of a townhome combined with a single family dwelling. It's a bit of a hybrid. So I would definitely go with the duplex unit. I always recommend them. That'll likely be where I purchase next. If I can't get another single family dwelling, I'll probably head to a duplex unit and wait for the other one to come on the market and buy both, turn it into a full duplex. So these are just things I'm thinking about. This is just something you can consider if you're looking to get into the Victoria housing market. You don't want to leave, but you want to take on the challenge head on, and you're willing to, look for alternatives and make this work for your family or for your lifestyle or for your investment portfolio. I really do think the duplex unit is a great way to go. And I'm going to continue doing housing affordability series. I think this is a really popular one. Lots of people messaging me and wanting to talk about the topic. So I'll probably continue to do this. So next week, maybe I'll talk about Airbnb, or maybe I'll get into some actually good condo options or some other solutions. We'll talk about it. I just finished writing a blog post on housing affordability. It's more of a checklist. I'll probably add more detail to that later on, but I will release that shortly, and I'll give that to you guys. What I'll do is I'll put it in the thread below, and you guys can just download it, save it for yourself. It's just going to be a free resource for the public. I don't really plan on charging for it or anything. So, not my intent. It's more about adding value and helping my generation and, the older generations that are having issues with affordability as well. Take this challenge head on. And if you guys ever have any questions or concerns or need some advice, feel free to reach out via email, Facebook, text message, whatever you prefer, whatever method of communication. I'm on all of them. And yeah, so hope you guys all have a good day, and we will catch you next time. Take care, and thank you for watching.